Uh, what? I didn't lose anything. I didn't tear up nothing. What the hell? Y'all be mad, boy. Oh shit! I probably wasn't supposed to respond to that, but if you're in the stream, I mean, I don't know what to. It's been going on for a really long time now. Oh, they never even fucking. Oh, that was my. Alright. Now, I didn't even realize I was sitting here for 10 minutes. Trying to wait till a few people get in here at least. Alright, since you got that. It's almost back, man. We got a couple months. Yeah, a couple months from now, we're back on the road with Dragon Ball. Starting again at the beginning of Super. So. This is the main thing. Welcome to person that's here and two people that are in here. But this is the main arc that tears up everything. This is the pivotal garbage slop dumpster fire where it tears up everything. His comeback. I don't agree with nothing, anything. My take probably going to be the most critical or whatever, but I really was looking for him. Right, people didn't try to make it. Probably tried to make it. I don't know. I've never read anybody reinterpretation or anything like that. I just believe that everything is actually right with Black Frieza. That's the right way, and the way that it happened in with True Gold and Frieza coming back, that's correct or whatever. Here this is just me typing in Dragon Ball. Honestly, we were just here, right? I just need just the fucking picture and stuff or whatever. Right, yeah, we go here. The official site, they ain't got nothing. They tease it in the Dragon Ball Super Beers, but I don't know how they might just have that arc within Dragon Ball Super Beers. So so they may have it, like it still don't work, but yeah, I just don't. Right. It just don't work, and it's Dragon Ball Z. It's not Super. Everybody keep thinking, oh yeah, right, because they tie it in with Super mainly. It's Z. It fucks up Z. It fucks up Z. Right. It messes up Z. It's not Super. It's Z. It's a Z creation. It's not a Super creation. So, I guess I just go ahead and get started anyway with the people that's in here. But yeah, his comeback just tears it up, right? It just does not work. It just does not work. With the way that we know with Dragon Ball, right? And the formula and the tradition and everything it goes, even OG Dragon Ball, right? Resurrection of Elf is just terrible. It's just downright terrible. It's terrible for everything. It's terrible for story. It's terrible for the progression. It's terrible for the character and the way that they act. right? Their lore, it's just don't their character personality. It's just none of it is just good, right? It is a lot of things where you bring people back, right? Because dealing with this story, it's characters that's not even close to their level. They gave them a hard time, and then you have other characters. All of a sudden, they was on their level, and they did no training, factually no training. They actually did not train or nothing. So it's not a good story, right? It's not a good story. All right, so his combat there, to me, the story just should not take place until later, right? And the way that they did it with Black Frieza, that's much better, right? And it aligns with the fact that Toriyama had planned Frieza comeback anyway towards the end of Z, right? I think they just did it early and it just don't work. Though even when you, like I said, even when you do it with the True Golden Frieza, that was a lot better because his personality was actually more on point, right? So this whole thing, man, there's just no saving it. Even when you show the training and stuff in Dragon Ball Super, it's no saving it, right? Because of what happened and established with Dragon Ball Super Beerus, that's going to be actual story creation is a Z creation. So Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, right? What started with that, what's the foundation and how it worked, right? And the story and then the scaling and everything, right? It just does not work for the story overall, right? The God of Destruction come in and also with his guide, the Angel, right? The reason why that story worked is because he may have not been surpassed in that same story, right? He may not have been surpassed in the same story, but it was an inconclusive, and it showed that he was the strongest god because he could not surpass him, right? He did not surpass him in the same fight, right? He had to obtain another level of power that was given to him, right, in order to achieve and reach his level. That's the reason why this story worked. It doesn't mess up nothing, right? And then he had to gain divinity on a different level to go with his power that he already had. Now, the other reason why it doesn't work is because of you had the Toriyama interview where he mentions and talks about a Saiyan, and that is a possibility where, if it would have kept going on with the Beerus fight, if they would have kept going, if he would have kept pushing them and stuff like that, he probably could have surpassed Beerus in the same fight. So, but you just leave it to the draw, right? It don't really matter if Beerus would have won. It don't matter if Goku would have won. The point is, he come in and he proved that he was the strongest god, right? That's why it works. And then he has another who's his teacher, who's his guide, right? Who's his attendant, who had a higher level of power than he did, who's a god, right? And he one-shots him. So that's the reason why that whole story works. It doesn't conflict with anything, right? It doesn't at all. He was already stronger than gods previously, right? Like the Kaioshin. Now, the problem here is they're at the same level of God Ki, right? They're at the same level of divinity, the same level of divine, right? So you will think, well, God Ki and stuff, it doesn't matter. Where there is some uses for God Ki, because if you go back to the Buu saga, Gohan was completely stronger than Shin. Far stronger than Shin. He was the strongest person on the battlefield when he was going against Buu. But none of his attacks and stuff could really work on Buu. But Shin had techniques and stuff dealing with God power, God Ki and whatever, where it worked immediately on Buu. So there is some things dealing with the divine, right? So again, when you go on, which always with the Saiyans, which always keep the Saiyans, as the strongest, which also, right, they double down on the Saiyans being the strongest combat race in all of the universe, dealing with battle gods, right? They told you that. They gave you more material to back that up as well, right? Keeping it consistent. Everything was consistent, right? That's the reason why it was supposed to be the greatest battle. It's the greatest battle everything you ever seen before from a specimen, especially a Saiyan in his eyes, right? Dealing with Goku. He didn't know things or certain traits about Goku in the Saiyans. So it going forward for Frieza not surpassing or being stronger than Beerus, it really tears everything up. For the Super Saiyan Blue, that tears everything up. It's not consistent, congruent, right, with the fact that it's Super Saiyan Blue being not just Super Saiyan version of the Super Saiyan God, because Super Saiyan God is already an ascension. It's already a transcendence of Super Saiyan, because it takes Super Saiyan to go Super Saiyan God. Nobody really understands that. And then on top of that, the multiplier continually evolves. Right? You can have the Super Saiyan be stronger than other forms, because 2 and 3 is just an extension. Right? Even though it's an extension of 1, you can still get those multipliers where previously it was the 400 times and 100 times or whatever like that. You can get Super Saiyan to that where the extension can be even greater. That's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. But regardless of what I'm saying, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Broly and Kale. So you ain't really there's no argument with that, right? Again. And you got Trunks. But anyway, and grade 4. Again, Vegeta. Again, you got many, right, examples. The point I'm saying is Super Saiyan Blue is insane, right? So it's not your linear. It's nothing is linear for any of the Super Saiyan transformations anyway. But it just doesn't work for Beerus to still be above them even after all the training and stuff, and you see it, right? So, and on top of that, Vegeta, he could already start sensing God Ki. He could sense when Whis and all of them approach. He could sense a stronger deity approach than that of the God of Destruction. Right? So it doesn't really work. And then you go to the cast characters, right? Where they didn't train, right, in the script, right? So the storyboarding, right? They did not train, right? But you have the original army of Frieza comes back and they all come there to Earth, right? So now here you see with this, they gave their power levels, and their power levels was nowhere near that of the Z cast, right? But yet they struggled, right? They struggled with someone like Shizumi, right? And then you have Togoma, right? That's the original storyboarding, right? That's the original storyboarding for Dragon Ball Z Resurrection Elf. But then you got the super version that come in where Togoma, and he's stronger than everybody, right? But you have Gohan, where he came in, he's the only, he declined, right? Someone like Piccolo, Goku, Vegeta, they don't stop training. They always training. Even Tien, right, he's correct as well, because he don't actually stop training either, right? Everybody else, they kind of chilled out, they're doing jobs, they take break and all this, blah, blah. They're consistent in training, right? So it doesn't work. Then you have Master Roshi as well. He comes in. He was never even shown training or at any point. And he comes in, he's able to fight and go against characters that's way, way beyond and out of his level, right? Then you have Goten and Trunks, where in the RRF movie they're not even present. Same with Boo, not present. But you go to the Super, they end up being well, not Boo yet again, right? It's bad. He's sleeping. That's terrible, right? You have Gotenks. He comes in, and freaking Gotenks, he defuses, which he's actually the strongest person, right? He's actually the strongest person on Earth, right? Aside from 17, who's actually training, right? Who's actually training? He's protecting his island, so that's his training, right? So he's also actually training, which he could have actually ended all of that. He probably could have just been feed again. Same with Boo, fed in for Frieza's dominance. For a first form Frieza at that, his suppression forms. But you miss out on all that. Again, that's why it don't work. It just don't. The person that's actually the strongest one there, he defuses, and it was supposed to be like a parody. I mean, not a parody, a joke, a gag, or whatever. But it don't work, right? It just doesn't work. Or they try to use a whole lot of power to get there super fast, but that don't work either because they're on Earth, right? So none of that completely works at all in dealing with Dragon Ball Z Resurrection of F, right? So when you continue on with Frieza and him being shocked that Beerus is there, shocked that Whis is there, that's not even Frieza's personality, right? That's not Frieza's personality and being scared or anything like that, because it's not any level that he couldn't surpass. That's why they got it right when dealing with True Golden Frieza, and they got it way even more correctly later. They got Frieza all the way down pat. He's not going to be afraid of none of these folks because he always believed he was the strongest in the entirety of the macrocosm. So you have that as well, right? The other problem here is you rob Vegeta. Right, you rob Vegeta. You mess up a lot of stuff. It could have, let's say it could have been absolved, right? A lot of people would have been happy, right, if Vegeta would have ended up killing Frieza, right? Because you had the fact that Vegeta ended up killing the Ginyu Force. You had the fact that Vegeta ended up killing Frieza. He killed Zarbon, right? He killed Dodoria, right? He killed everybody, right? He killed everybody, right? Except King Cole. But his son did that, right? It stays within the family because his son did that, right? His son does that. His son kills Frieza. His son kills King Cole. It stays within the family, right? Goku doesn't kill them, right? But Goku could have. He could have. That just shows the difference between them, right? In terms of you need to get the job done, right? One, the benevolency, you know, the duality between the two and things like that, the yin and yang and all that, blah, 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 right? But Goku, he could have, but he doesn't, right? So it would have been really good for the story, and people at least would have been happy with that. But no, you go and you take that from him. This is, again, the reason why it don't work. If he comes back, it just doesn't work in general. So when you go with Dragon Ball Super, the new revamp that's coming, there's no real way of saving, even when you add in all the training. Again, even when you add all the training because of the Saiyan traits and everything, it does not work. Right? The only way it works is if you like comic slop. I'm sorry. Those are the ones with all of the inconsistencies, and they be happy or alright with the inconsistencies. In secret, the ones that actually be hardcore, they actually do not. And they try to cancel them immediately. And they do. Most of the time, they discontinue the entire issue immediately. Right? They Resurrection of Elf is the worst in all. You can't even go back, right, into the older OGs. You can't even go back into where anybody stays the strongest for that long. Even if they are a god. Right? Even if it comes in with 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, right? They might still be relevant, but they are surpassed, right? Their role is they might have a role in there, but they still be surpassed because it takes away from the next antagonist that's coming in, right? So when Frieza comes back, Beerus just completely just craps all over the Super Saiyan Blue. Craps all over the Golden Frieza where he could have defeated him if he would have went and tried instantly, like at the beginning, and not play around with him. He could have killed them immediately. Right? Again, Whis even stated 70% of his power, nearly 70% of his power. There is no way. It doesn't matter even if his power is in a whole other dimensional world when he's at 100%. It doesn't compare to what the Saiyans are. It doesn't keep him at the strongest. It just shows that he's just the strongest god, as they said. He was just the strongest guy that came straight on in. It tears up the flow completely because then you have the next antagonist that come in, right? And it takes away from him being the strongest and being the craziest, the craziest different. He's also different in terms of the way he utilizes his abilities. Right? So this is where all the problems comes in entirely. This is to me, this is why this is the worst one, right? The power narrative completely gets destroyed. Right? This is for dummies. Right? This is for idiots. Right? This is literally for idiots. Resurrection F. The comeback of Frieza. It is for idiots. Right? It even hurts Frieza. Right? The whole iconic point of the story just gets shat on. Everything gets shat on. Just all of it just gets completely shat on. This is literally the movie for idiots. Now, look, you can't sit up here and say I'm wrong or anything like that, because back then, during the time when you was, it don't matter if you was in a physical, it don't matter if you was online or anything like that, right? Everybody was confused on what the hell was going on with the movie. Everybody was confused, right? The Goku getting shot by the lady, that's another thing, right? It don't matter even if you do have his hair go down. It's not good. It's not good, right? It's not good at all, right? People being confused, right? People being happy about base Goku beating up Frieza, the beat down of Frieza, right? Because it's this thing where they probably have, where they think that, okay, the story is not going to be good if you just have Goku and Vegeta beat up everybody, or come in and beat everybody and stuff like that. But that's not true, because Goku ain't had a dub at all in Z like that. Last time Goku had an actual real dub was in OG Dragon Ball. Was in Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball, the first part, as a kid and a teen in his adolescent stage. That was the last time. It never messed up the story or anything. People was always loving it. This movie is where the switch up happened. Again, the reason why Battle of Gods worked is because it was a draw. It became inconclusive. And then he told them also there was other guys that are even stronger than them that's in other universes. So it made everybody hype. The build up. The plot, it was a build up. Right? And they say mortals at that. Right? So it's build up. It builds up. So if you bring Frieza back, that should have been the very first one to show you. That should have been the very first one. It don't even matter if you didn't have them interact, him react or anything, right? Because the crazy progression, the crazy evolution, right, that happened with Goku and Vegeta. And at the time with the storyboard, you don't even get to see their training. You don't know what their training or anything was. So when you go to the Dragon Ball Super, you get to see it. But Beerus most of the time was asleep. But while he was asleep, they were taking unrestrained ki blasts to level up as well, a part of their training. And we said that is good. Right? They already had divine power. Right? And the other thing that made them different was the fact that they were Saiyans. So it's all in conjunction with one another with all these powers, which make them power level up to a whole other degree. But not just that, it's the fact that they were also prodigious at that. They didn't suck. They didn't suck. That was the other reason why he wanted to train them. They did not suck. They was on a whole other level. Right? You seen that at the very beginning when Goku went against Beerus the first time, before he attained Super Saiyan God. Again, this arc is the worst. It's no saving it. This is what tears up everything. It's not Dragon Ball Super, because this is a Z creation. It's not a Super creation. People want to trash on Super all day long because of Dragon Ball Super, Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Super, Resurrection F. But it's not Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super did not create this. Dragon Ball Super really started at Champa arc. The Champa arc is where Dragon Ball Super started. And those arcs, Champa arc, Future Trunks arc, Universal Survival arc, the Broly arc, the Moro arc, the Granola arc, the Superhero arc, all those arcs are actually not bad. Now they have some bit of problems here and there, but they are not bad. As a totality, it's actually good. It's a good run. It's this. Is this. It is the rebirth of Frieza. It is this shitty rebirth of Frieza for idiots, morons. The reason why it tears up and puts a stain somewhere in the legacy. The legacy of Dragon Ball. It ain't no video games, which a lot of people don't even realize. Video games dealing with Dragon Ball, most of them know the story through that. A lot of people know the story of Dragon Ball through video games. A lot of people do. Right? Now, only people that's not going to be complaining about this stuff is people that are diehards of other medias and work, right? Where they love the idiocy, right? In terms of it being stupid as heck and making a complete stain in it, a mockery of it. But they only do that if it has something to dealing with in contrast to like superheroes. That's it. You're not going to hear that stuff or anything where they actually completely care about the story being consistent and having all these plot holes and inconsistency. No, they're going to shit on it. You don't completely give it an F. But something like Dragon Ball, they're going to be, oh, no, it's good. It's going to be completely good. No, that's good. That's not bad or anything. Right? Or they may laugh, or they be like, nah, see, they just told you that he's not that strong. Or just showed you that even if he is this powerful, it just give him this weakness. No, shut up. You know what the heck you know why you like this. Because it comes into there where you debating what franchise, or when you trying to contemplate on who's a legend and things like that. Right? It finally gives an opening, a stain on something. Right? This just really tears it. This really puts a freaking dent in there. This really puts a dent in there. Right? So they're going to try to play this whole hit you with the Sokoyomi bullshit, or play this Genjutsu, want to hit you with Genjutsu, do all these different illusions and try to play with your mind like it's good, and it's not. It's not. Or think it's acceptable, and it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all. Right? Again, this is the only reason why I say One Piece is as good as it is now to people. Because they like a lot of moronic things. Right? That's the only reason why. While also keeping the moronic things at bay. They keep it at bay. Right? They're not gonna probably like go half of the way. They go full of the way. They go the full way. Right? And they keep certain things really close to one another. Right? The last antagonist is not gonna be stronger than the next. I mean, than the previous or whatever. Right? They kind of keep it really open. Right? And they also go on a lot of stupid adventures where it doesn't do anything for the story. Right? It doesn't do anything that develops their character or nothing. Right? So, again, idiocy. Right? This is moronic. I ain't gonna lie, this is moronic. This is not idiocy. This is moronic. Right? It just doesn't work at all. It just does not work. This is the reason why, for me, personally speaking, I don't know if it's for anybody else, this is the worst arc in all of. You got Dragon Ball Minus, right? You got that. You got Jacko the Galactic Patrolman. You even got the where I get reborn as Yamcha, cause that is canon. That's also canon. You have what's the other one? Yosan Goku and friends. That you have that one. You have Dragon, and obviously you got your Dragon Ball Z. You got your Dragon Ball Super, and you got Dragon Ball Daima. Not even Daima is nowhere near as terrible as this. Daima is not really that terrible to me. Daima is okay, right? Daima is mid. It's mid. It's not terrible. It's just mid. All right. It's this I'm telling you, when you start really looking at every single arc, not even the filler arcs, right? The ones that's not the major arcs or whatever, right? Not even that, that's in between. It's not bad. It's not bad. It doesn't cause any problems or nothing. It's actually consistent, right? Then you also got the Garlic Jr. when he returns. That's also not bad. It has no problem. You got the Otherworld tournament, right? That's also not bad. That's also consistent. That's all that is. No, I'm telling you, it is this right here, Resurrection F. It's like they should just, I don't even know. It's like they should just act like it don't even, like it just didn't have, you just completely discontinue it, right? You cancel it, you erase it, right? It's that bad. It's GT level of bad. Now I done told you with GT, it's all right when you get up to the baby. No, Super 17 is not even that bad either. It's just the fact that you don't, it's just is redundant, right? It's kind of just redundant. That's all with that. It's the Shadow Dragons that's terrible. That's what's terrible. The Shadow Dragons is terrible. That arc is just pure down ass, right? And then you have some things that's in between dealing with GT where, the adventure is not that adventurous. It's not all right. It's not. It's like whatever, right? It's just kind of it's mid. Like Power Brothers and God of Destruction Lude and freaking Legic. Legic was cool, right? He's actually cool. You got your freaking what's his name? General Rado. You got your General Rado, right? Those are okay, right? Those are just decent. They're just mid adventures, right? So I'm telling you, this is the worst thing in all of Dragon Ball history. I'm telling you, it is the worst thing. The worst thing they could have ever introduced. And it's not a super creation. It's not a super creation. So people need to stop trying to make it seem like it's Dragon Ball Super, because it's not. It's Z. Right? It is. And that's also where a lot of people start switching up. I don't know. That's like what it's really weird. Like, it's where everybody started like splitting. Like, I don't know. Right? That's where you started to see people really be moronic. Right? That's where you start to see their moronicness. That's where you start to see, oh, okay. Those are the people you just don't. And it's a lot of them. It's a whole lot of them. It's a bag full of them. It's a huge. That's plenty. Right? So, to me, this shouldn't even be acknowledged. in my eyes, this shouldn't even be acknowledged. Right? This shouldn't even be acknowledged. It's just not good. It is terrible. There's some things that's good about it, but overall, it is terrible. I hate Golden Frieza arc. The resurrection of that, I hate it. It is shit. Pure D dog pile of shit. Right? With no grass over it to try to make the stink go down and hide it. No, it is complete shit. Man, I just don't. Boy, this shit is just terrible, man. It's just no way. Like, even if you go from Battle of Gods and go straight into Champa arc, it works. It works. You completely just ignore Frieza and you just go into Champa. It completely works. It flows fine. It flows fine. Like, it's just terrible. Like, I don't know what I just don't know what to say about that arc, bruh. It defiles too much, bruh. It defiles too many levels. It just is not good, bruh. It literally reduces the series. And it's all because they wanted to do, I don't know if they try to do some superhero like freaking elements and plot or something like that, which again, that's how you know they had something going on with that. That's why I constantly keep saying, and with other people also during at the time, right now, because we're going back to the beginning again, so all my memories and stuff is coming back, right, and dealing with that time period where you had a lot of people on YouTube and stuff where they was completely happy with this. It was like, what? It's y'all minds, right? That's probably the reason why they be giving so many people flack, right? What everybody as an audience give so many people flack. That shit ain't good. But they like stuff like that when you pay attention to stuff that they watch, or and you don't do it on purpose. It just start to add up. The more that you have conversations, or the more that you interact and things like that, and you just okay, that's how you end up getting this shit. Right? But then when you start to interact with people more, you really start to see the reason why. It's like, oh my god, man, they could have just ignored, right, the mask, because they really terrible bad. Right? They really, right? Look, it's even rated 83%. I didn't even know that. It's rated 83% by Rotten Tomatoes. And this is exactly my point. Majority of these people are shit. Right? It's not something like you look at. It has its moments, right? When you had the 1-inch punch, the Bruce Lee 1-inch punch. You have that. You have the fact where Vegeta beat the shit out of the Frieza. Right? He beat down, right? Yes. Right? Sure. For the people that's not really into Dragon Ball. Right? And don't really understand why this is a big moment and it should have been him from the start. Right? Hell, even IMDb gave it a 7. It's not. Right? The CGI wasn't good either. That portion of the CGI, that actually was not good. Right? They try to make it seem like it's good, but it wasn't. Right? The time you be hyped and you be excited about a new one, but after you watch it, you be like, man, that movie is terrible. Right? You have a lot of. I was one of the people in the movie theater that was pointing out a lot of different things that have problems with it. Again, where it was different. It was a different feeling from Battle of the Gods and different feeling from Resurrection F. Resurrection had more fight in it, right? RF had more fighting, which I like the more fighting. But the problem with RF is just the story was just terrible. Right? The fighting might have been alright, which I didn't even think the choreography was all that good. It was just good just at the beginning. It wasn't that good when it came to Frieza, blue Frieza versus golden Frieza. Right? That wasn't that good either. So the Vegeta coming there and his animation was being good. It was good, but it was it kind of shat on Vegeta. Right? Just the whole thing. It wasn't that great. Whereas previously with Battle of Gods, I actually thought it was pretty enjoyable. Right? I actually thought it was pretty enjoyable. Now, I wanted more fighting, but it turned out to be a good movie nonetheless. So, there again, I always have my problems with certain things dealing with the movies and stuff like that, right? And, the fact that it continued on the story. So, do I think that the arc was better in Dragon Ball Super than the movie? I actually do, and as a whole, as a story, as a whole, I actually do. I actually do think it's better. It's just, obviously, the animation is a lot better in Z. But, here going with Dragon Ball Super Beerus that's coming up, it's probably going to be even better. Or at least it should. It looked like it. It looked like it. Right? So, again, that arc is consistently getting better. You know what I'm saying? It's actually getting better. It's not getting worse. It's actually consistently getting better. What Resurrection Elf is not, it hasn't been getting any better. It's actually been getting worse. Right? When all you have to do, right, is have them be stronger in totality, right, in full, than the last character. Not, oh, he was just stronger than my 60%. My 70%. No, he has to be stronger in full. Right, it has as a Saiyan, because that's him as a Saiyan, and you also has Frieza's potential, and it also is the destiny and the fates and the ties and stuff. Right, is you have to have him surpass in full. Right, it don't even matter if you had Tagoma reach that level, which did everybody would be confused on that, right? But reach like some level, right, of Super Saiyan God or something like that, right? And maybe Frieza must give him a tidbit, right? I'm just saying it wouldn't have mattered, right? Because we would have had someone. It makes him still relevant, right? He still got Whis also, right? He's not stronger than Whis, but he's stronger than the God of Destruction, right? It still has the levels still there, right? Where if Beerus was to give a command, right, it's nothing nobody can do. Showing it's still all being controlled by the God of Destruction. So that's a political, that's not political, but that's just, outside. That's jurisdiction, that's authority, right? That's his divine right, right? Being the fact that he's appointed and approved and put in that position, right? Unless you surpass his attendant. Then, it's like, oh, well, ain't nothing to do, but heck, it is what it is. I'm not going to call the Grand Priest or something on you or anything like that. You're good. You just gotta take care of the universe and stuff like that, right? He has people where it completely goes into relationships with the characters, right? Which for Dragon Ball Super will show the fact of the reflection in Belmont, because he has the same thing, and the reflection go to Hellas because she have the same thing, and the reflection it goes to other gods of destruction. Where then you have the other gods of destruction where they're just completely the strongest, right? And showing that their mortals ain't nowhere near, and their villains ain't nowhere near, right? And they're also more active, so they don't allow that to happen. They ain't gonna allow that to happen, right? So that, it still happened in don't get me wrong, it still happened in Dragon Ball. So I'm just saying it will fit a lot better. It flows a lot better. Right, the story it stays legendary. The story stays legendary. Right. That's the main thing about Dragon Ball Resurrection F that we all have to understand. It didn't even work in Xenoverse when he got amplified and all that. It still was terrible because he still wasn't stronger than everybody there. Right? So that is all I wanted to really say, is the fact that we may be getting another revamped version, but unless it's like that, from what I just said, right? Especially the fact that they also go in right after that, and they go into the hyperbolic time chamber, and then they go in it like, all this. Unless it's like what I said, it's going to continue and it's going to forever be the worst arc. And I think everybody, right? I think everybody, historian, will be able to realize that, right? You have to sacrifice characters. You have to show Gotenks come in there, get his ass whooped. You have to come in with Boo, not no freaking sleeping, right? Because that's the cop out that they do every time. They even dealing with the Frieza, even with dealing with Frieza, they switched him out. It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. But even with Frieza coming back and switching him out, right? He went to sleep. It still that worked. But here, no. You have to show, you were supposed to show Frieza's dominance, terror, reign, evil, back, carnage, right? Carnage, right? He brings the despair. That's Frieza. That's his identity. You took his identity away from him, especially when you have Beerus. Beerus come in, oh, Lord Beerus, what are you doing here? You don't plan on joining? Like, no. Right? You just, no. No, 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 no. Right? It's like, no. It's like, dang it. It's like, no, that's not what's supposed to happen there. Right? He could just, right? He never even trained or nothing. The first time he trained, bringing out all his potential out and everything. It's like, wow, you really seen what would have happened. Right? And then also, again, is continue the progression and the consistency of the story. Because you had something where Frieza had made everybody terrified, even back then when he wasn't that strong. And that's the reason why. Because he was born that freaking strong. He was born with 120 million power level right off the get-go. He was born with that. It didn't matter that the gods were able to one-shot him. Right? It took the strongest gods, though. Right? It didn't matter that Boo was there and everything, because Boo, Boo is a Jinn. So that's completely different. Right? He's a demonic creation. Right? With magic and all that stuff. So that's completely different in the demon realm. Right? And then you also have Demon King Dabur. Right? Demon King Dabur, he's also somebody that fear, because he was also born that powerful. Right? And he was also the Demon King. Right? By heritage, right? Everything. He surpassed his father. And he didn't fear. He didn't even want the third eye. Right? So that's like a really big thing. Right? So, again, but Frieza, he was the one that was being feared. That's the person that they all feared. They didn't care about no Dabur and all that and all. Frieza. It was Frieza. He was the one that they always feared. And you completely seen why. Right? And also the reason why Beerus wanted to go ahead and Hakai him. He wanted to go ahead and Hakai, obviously, because he was also taking over everything and stuff like that. He didn't really, bother him or anything like that. It's the fact that, oh yeah, you're really evil. And then on top of that, you're really evil, you also be having very massive, immeasurable amounts of potential. You can assert me. Hell no, I'm going to get you out of here. Right? But I'll leave you alive if you destroy the Saiyans, because they all, right? All y'all are colluding together. Right? So, again, you also had the Super Saiyan of Legend 2, right? Which Frieza feared. Right? And that's what the other gods feared. Again, it stays. You see it. This is the reason why Resurrection F is just some shit. It's some shit. It's just some complete dog shit. It's just, that's the reason. Beerus don't know none of that. Remember this. Beerus is ignorant of all that. He don't know nothing. He don't know any of that. He don't know about the legends. He didn't know about the Saiyan traits. He didn't know about none of that shit. So this is the reason why it's shit. It's terrible. That it's like, again, you just need to Hakai Resurrection F the arc. Right? Right? It doesn't matter if they showed you that they're bringing in Frieza very early, but it's still not gonna work. It's still not gonna work at all. So I don't know what to really tell you on Dragon Ball Super Resurrection F. They may just call it Dragon Ball Super Beerus, even with Frieza arc coming in, right? It might keep it Dragon Ball Super Beerus. From what I heard through the grapevine, with rumors and stuff floating about or whatever, that it's gonna call it Dragon Ball Super Resurrection F, right? But they already teasing it in Beerus, so right? They're not gonna change it. Obviously, they're not gonna change it, because then it messes up. Like, if you come in there and take it out, they've took some things out. They did that with Kai. They took things out and act like it doesn't exist. That's what happened with the Otherworld tournament. That's what happened with PyCon and all that. People, they don't even know if, oh shit, dang, PyCon canon. PyCon is canon, by the way. But still, they're like, dang, did this happen or anything? Right? They mentioned they mentioned the other gods and all that stuff in the manga and all that. So it doesn't, right? That doesn't contradict the Otherworld tournament and all that. None of that contradicts anything. Olubu, he gets mentioned and all that. Right? It stays consistent, right? And that's the other thing, right? Humans also had a mythical figure, a hero that was also stronger than gods. He wasn't stronger than the God of Destruction, which is the strongest god, right? With the authority. Again, the attendant doesn't have any authority. They have any jurisdiction. They just don't have any, right? All authority, right? They have to take a command, right? They can do whatever they want. They can't fight. right, within the mortal realm and stuff like that, and they can't boss around their god of structure, they can teach them, right? They can also even decline, right, a little bit, but they'll end up doing it, right? They don't have, it's not there, right? The universe is not for them, right? It's not up under them, even though they far superior in intellect, or well, you can't say they're far superior in intellect. Actually, they're not far superior in intellect, because some angels have learned from their gods of destruction and gods of creation, right? So they're actually not farther in intellect. It completely depends on the individual. But in terms of power, they sit above automatically. In terms of strength, they sit above automatically. They keep them all in check, right? They can't allow the universe to be destroyed, right? That's the thing they cannot allow, right? Which is so crazy, because they could, oh dang, well, it looks like the universe is gonna be. What do you mean that? Get too mad or something like that if they want to destroy this, and it might cause enough. You stop them from doing that, but when it comes to the villain and right, they can't do that. It's so funny, right? It's the rules, all these restrictions, things like it's very funny. They can't do that unless the god of destruction tell them, oh, go and stop that. Right? It's really, right, you have to find like little holes and things. It's just funny, right? It's funny when it comes to that of an angel, right? So still, again, going back to the Resurrection Elf, that's why it's funny when you go to Black Frieza, because that's pretty much everything they got right. But we already been past that. We've been past that ever since Universal survived. Ever since the fusions had got introduced, that's when everything went back into motion on point. Because for whatever reason, with Goku Black, Super Saiyan Rose, I don't know why, right? Even with the Scythe, right, when he couldn't comprehend his power, and it was all, there was a body that could surpass any and all gods and reach levels that nobody could understand, and it has infinite ceiling. Right, there's no ceiling, it's infinite power just overflowing. This is a body, this is a perfect body, this is Goku body, everything aligned and everything like that, right? It just kind of shows that they was, I don't know if they were pandering to the idiots, or I don't know if they were pandering because they just didn't want to give or say or not or anything like that. But then they just end up saying individually Beerus is, but when you go to the fusions, that changes. Right, so. And then you don't make it any better in dealing with the manga, right? Dealing with the manga, it don't really make it any better. Where Goku was saying at the time, oh dang, yeah, look, I still got a little long way to go. Or in some ways, oh, I still need to keep training, right? He was in their range, right, in terms of in their state, but he wasn't at their level still yet. But it wasn't anything for them that they could teach him or anything like that. He didn't learn everything. Right, this is where his own potential and all this stuff kick in at. So. Where every day he surpassed all of them in the same mark. Right. So again, like I said, that's the difference between that two. But everybody likes the correct way. The correct thing is what everybody likes. The consistency of what's already been in place when dealing with tradition, and which revolutionized all, not just Dragon Ball and made it legendary, but all of the action shonen, right? Even other, Sakura goes all sorts of things, right? That follow Dragon Ball. The foundation, right? It's right that is the leading model. We are the leading model. Dragon Ball is the leading model, right? But they'll be willing to want to take these liberties to try to mess it up. Or you maybe try to get new people in, but then they tear it up. Right? And it's honestly because of their thinking with certain other animes where they follow, they're inspired, but they do their own thing a little bit. Right? But they know how to keep it consistent in terms of action, whereas other people, they don't know how to keep it consistent. So it's kind of funny in that aspect as well, where you see the different level of writing and the plot writing come into play, and the outline, right? Again, that's why when you do key revisionary and things like that, you have to make sure you just don't pass off any damn thing. What the heck? Oh shit, damn. You know, we're just gonna pass it off, whatever, because I ain't really got nothing to do with this, anything like that. So when all the slack and everything come back, it's gonna come back, but people gonna know who did it or something like that. But no, in reality, who's gonna get the flack? Toriyama's gonna get the flack. He's the one that's gonna get the flack. Yeah, I ain't gotta deal with that, whatever. He's gonna get the flack, but then it's gonna go from him, and you're gonna go through the chain of command, and then you're gonna go to whoever was over that entire arc. So it's just pretty funny. But that's my thoughts. That's just me. I think it's a terrible arc. It's not really an arc that people should even really just be looking forward to when you get back. And also, you're going to have more people watching. That's another reason why I do not like Resurrection F. Because you're going to have more people, new audience, people watching. And it's terrible. It's a big stain. It's just not good. Like it's not an art that should even exist. Right? I don't know whoever presented that art. It's like, man, you should just do that. You know what? We should move this. We should take certain things here and we should move it. Right? I don't know how you could present that and that get written off, get signed off, or I don't even know how Toriyama would want that to even be shown. He didn't. Let's just be honest. He probably didn't. But they just probably went with it anyway. And then when he seen it, he was like, oh, hell no. Right? But then again, he probably thought most people liked it. Who knows? And was like, you know what, I'll just deal with it. Right? There's the Dragon Ball loyalists, like myself, at least I think they shouldn't have liked it. They probably did like it. Right, I don't know. They probably did like it. But like I said, when you start seeing and reading things that people really like and stuff like that, you be like, okay, this is the reason why it has a lot of plot holes or a lot of problems within the arc, right? And then they try to, right, so then you go in and you look at and try to take all the good things and you go in and be like, well, I mean, I can make it consistent and stuff like that, but then it's just going to tear everything else going forward up, right? And then also going to tear everything else in the back, right? In the past, it's going to kind of shit on that, and it's like, oh, nah. It just, overall, because underlying, it don't fit or work. So, hello, welcome to the stream. Veraz. Hello, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. I remember that being. I remember a lot of people being excited for that. You also, since it also wasn't they weren't the strongest people on the battlefield. It just make people look at Dragon Ball, the transformation of Super Saiyan Blue, right? It make them hate it because now it's like, yeah, it really was just a color swap. Just a color palette swap, right? It just changed to her color. That's it. Like, oh yeah, he's stronger, but you can't tell. Right? You can't tell. But it's like, you could have kept that. Right? He might look cool and everything. Right? I like Dragon Ball Supers. Well, I can't say Dragon Ball Super. I like Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. I like it, right? You also get tongue twisted by people saying that. A lot of people was like, what the heck, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan? When they start saying it really fast, they get tongue twisters and stuff. But like Goku did in the Dragon Ball Super manga, right? I'm telling you, I'm telling you, bro. They the reason why, right? Media and other people that might have had something to do with it outside of just the main people in Dragon Ball had to have had some type of pull and end up giving us this shit goddamn movie or this arc in general. Like, not even Dragon Ball Z Kakarot with dealing with CC2 when they was trying to retell it. It was fun. Right, it was fun. It was all right. It was fun, but it doesn't work. Right, it just doesn't work. It was cool. They have cool moments and things like that, but it just doesn't work. Like, for the most part, you had Goku and Vegeta. They did everything. Right, they just wiped out everything, and it was like, it's cool and all, but the overall. You're not fearing Frieza at all. You got, these two people over here are way stronger. These two people over here, they're way stronger than you. Right? I don't have anything for you to be fearing. Like, yeah, you went and got stronger, but it's not too much. It's not too far from where I'm at. And then these people, they way stronger than us. This is get this shit out of here. Alright, get this out of here. Right, and then on top of that, like I said, the main thing about that is they never stay. Again, that's the first time where you don't actually surpass a god in the same time where they get introduced. It's the only time. It's the only time. Right? It's the fact that he couldn't even, right, he could train, but it would take him a long time, right, a long time, where the next time he come back on screen, right, then he would surpass him, right? And not really, and I'm exaggerating that because really it's just from that arc, right? It's just of that time frame where Beerus would end up destroying Earth. He just had to get that power within that time frame. It's not gonna be like, oh yeah, it's at the end of the Z or anything. No, it's nothing like that at all. Not even nowhere close. Right? It's just in the same time frame of trying to save Earth. Like, trying to save Earth, trying to save the world. He wouldn't have had enough time at all. Obviously. So that's why it also shits on Vegeta when he does get up there and he can sense Whis. Right? Even Oracle Fish even saying, oh yeah, you can sense the key in the presence of a god now. That's how you know. You're getting stronger. You're getting better. Right? It is. Right? It's just not good. Right? It's the only reason why it really works like that is because it was an inconclusive. Right? It was a draw. It wasn't no Goku loss. And also the fact that Beerus completely acknowledged he's actually better than I am. Wow, this is actually the Super Saiyan God. Right? He actually satiated my thirst for battle. Right? Now they overly try to spoof it up and all that stuff because of things that happen to where it's like, oh dang, are they really my rivals? Dang, they kind of weak. It's taking all day to get to my level. Shit. Right? Because they already fucking tore things up. That's why. Right? They just kind of tore things up already. But, like I constantly keep saying, you don't always have to keep tearing things up to try to keep it correct and consistent. You don't have to do that. Or try to, do the end of that, right? It's an easy fix, especially when dealing with Dragon Ball, because the foundation is there and it works. You just come in and do something cooler. You just come in and do something power. Relight the power. Psycho. That's what we love. Right? That's what we love. Even when you go to Universal Survival Saga and you go to Broly, right? That's where another thing you happen like that. It worked though because you take the power that he had. Now don't do no shit like that ever again. Again. Don't do nothing like that ever again. Don't you do it. Don't ever do nothing like that again. Right? But that's the reason why it works. Right? Because they took and they went back down. Right? They took the ultra power. That's in a whole different level of world, a ballpark. You cannot reach. right? That's what it showed even with Roshi. That's the reason why Roshi was able to do better than Super Saiyan Blue and True Golden Frieza. Right? It's a whole, and it's a different. You have right the interview where Toriyama said it's a different type of power. It don't go down the same path of the way of how it, the previous, right, powers that were shown in, right. It goes into a whole different state. That's why everybody just sit automatically above. Right. That's why he was able to shoot up like that. And then on top of that, that was a far cry. It was nowhere near the level of the actual Ultra Instinct, right? You don't have Ultra Instinct unless you attain it. Right? So again, that's the reason why the Broly arc completely worked. And going into Gogeta Blue, right, the fusion. Even though that, they was also walking on freaking, they were walking on ice with that because Gogeta Blue, how you looking at, okay, well, how are they able to fight with the level of strength and power that they're at currently right now? Right? Because they was already equivalent to that of a god of destruction in the universal survival arc as Blue. Right? And they surpassed those levels in Blue. Right? They went way ahead or nothing, but they were, right, they were ahead just by a little bit. Which is why I asked the question, well, why do you want to get stronger than what you already are? Right? I mean, it just kind of, that's the only thing. It was walking on thin ice, so that's how you know it was a speed battle. Right? They had to, right? Obviously, also, if Gogeta couldn't finish it with that Kamehameha or anything like that, you really was gonna be looking like, oh shit. Right, we're in for it now. And Broly finna kick our ass. Right, because he's gonna go up. So, he had to hit him with the land the strongest combos, right, in order to do it. Because if he would have did any other move or something like that, it probably would have separated them in the middle and in the midst of them utilizing that power. So again, you was already walking on thin ice with that, right? Then you also had them go into a whole different dimension, so they could have altered the time as well, right? They could have slowed it down. You just throw that in there. They don't tell you that. That's headcanon. It's just all headcanon, right? Because that is a really good, right? Really good reasoning, and you taking everything and all the evidence that's showing around, right, in order to fix that plot hole that's there and dealing with the timer. So, yeah. Right, and, bro, there's nothing wrong with Broly. Broly's good. Right, it's just that they take it there. They probably didn't want to do Ultra Instinct because they probably was like, oh no, we trying to savor the crazy coolness aura of Ultra Instinct. But I thought that was the best time to bring in at least the black hair. That's what I thought. And the black hair go in there and dominate Broly. After the fusion, even if you do the fusion, right? The fusion fail. If it fail or whatever, Goku goes into the black hair because it gives him a second wind and surge of power, and surge of stamina and everything, and it just completely beat down Broly. Which also shows Broly's prodiginous, right? It keeps it. I'm telling you, it keeps it all consistent. I'm telling you. You don't understand. Most people don't understand that, but that's why I'm telling you. Alright, it completely keeps it. People would not be complaining about nothing. In fact, they would just be waiting for more. I mean, you got more arcs coming, but still, I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. So, should I go over something else on here dealing with it? Because I think I made my point about Resurrection F being some terrible dog doo or some terrible what's the stinkiest shit I'd have never smelled, right? Oh, a camel, a fucking camel, and a giraffe. They have some of the worst vile smells ever. That's exactly what the freak Dragon Ball Resurrection of is. Right, that's exactly what it is. Like, hold on. We have an exclusive digital wallpaper made in collaboration with the Devil May Cry Netflix. Right, like I said, semi-canon. All because they promoted. Hey, look, if it makes you any better, look, Devil May Cry got the Netflix, which it shouldn't make you feel any better at all, right? At all, not at all. It should make you mad that they're doing this. You have the Netflix Devil May Cry, and you have Resurrection of Elf, Dragon Ball, and GT. Those things should just make like this. Yeah, nah, right? No, Devil May Cry was good. Right? You also got the reboot. I mean, you got the reboot. That was shit story too. So, all right, then you get. I mean, hell, if you're a Matrix fan, like you got the Matrix Resurrections. That's not good either. It wasn't bad, terrible. It just wasn't. They could have. It's kind of like, nah, damn it. All right. That one was very fan servicey. Right. Not just fan. Actually, I don't even want to say fan servicey. That's for the Animatrix fans, who all followed the Animatrix. Right. That's mainly for that, and all the people that doesn't like reboots and stuff and restarting and all that, right? And they want something new, right? That also, you also like that. It just freaking shot on the entire industry in a way, right? Or WB or whatever like that, right? And it's like I don't really like that, but in terms of the story and stuff that it does and keeping lore, it's good and keeping lore right. Right, the lore is actually right, and everything is fine. It also wasn't the highest level of quality in dealing with choreography and stuff like that, so it kind of just went down. So that's pretty much all it is, which is crazy because that's some of my top things, right? That's pretty much my top 3. I mean, unless you take in Daredevil. If you're taking Daredevil and if you're taking Fate. But Fate is already good. You can't mess up Fate. Ufotable ain't doing it. I don't care about what nobody's talking about. That's what I love about Ufotable. I don't care about nothing. We ain't tearing our stuff up. I don't understand nothing. Whatever. That's because it was already set like that from the beginning. Right, so it was kind of like they were trying to do the same thing with Dragon Ball, but too many people were complaining. Too many people were complaining. Alright, but yeah. Do I have anything else do I want to say about Frieza and returning? And I'm trying to think, do I have anything? I think I think Gohan, him not training and coming back and he was destroying his body, I think that wasn't good. I think if Gohan just couldn't go into Ultimate, because he actually did go into Ultimate in the end. I don't. Shit, I don't know. Gohan just weird. I'm just sick of Gohan. Kind of just sick of Gohan. Because that's how they ended up getting there. Which, it shouldn't even took that. But that's another thing that also had brought in there, right? Because the Kaioshin realm is actually farther from Earth. I'm telling you, bruh. I am telling you. That arc is some shit, bruh. God dang. That arc is some shit. I'm telling you. It's not good, bruh. That's where I'm telling you, bruh. Oh, God. Oh my gosh, that arc is just, man, boy. You have to complete if you want to keep it. You just have to rewash it. You have to take the painting off and put a new picture up, a new painting. Because boy, golly, make you want to pull your hair out when you go and you look at that art. That art just, I don't know who came up with that idea and thought that was some good shit, some good stuff, some really good stuff, high rating things. And these folks have the audacity to put it at 83% by Rotten Tomatoes. God damn, y'all. And it's what the fuck? It ain't just the city or anything like that. Where you're from or where you're from, it is everywhere, right? Nah. But I think that if I start, like I said, if I start looking more into it, I'm thinking that is it. Right, I'm thinking that is it. Oh, I hope that is it. Cause if I start thinking of anything, usually I end the stream and then something just pops straight on. I was like, oh god, dang it! I knew I should have said that. But so thus far, that's all I got on my head, on my mind. That's why I don't understand why VAs don't even give pushback if they know something is wrong, right? Right. At least as long as they've been voicing characters, you would think they would know their character that they're voicing. Right? Say for instance, Whis, for example, right? He's pretty good. All the characters that he plays, they're in a position of power. Right? Or they're really strong. He stays consistent. Right? If you play a role where you're in a weak position, you should at least know that, right? You should know how the character and everything is. Right? Especially if you've been voice acting for a really darn long time. Right? So to me, it'd be like, okay, well, why don't you give pushback on it? When you're reading it, you're reading the script, you got the script, the story, you're reading it, all this stuff, and you look and you're like, wait a minute, pause, what the hell? right? Is there something in there? They're telling y'all, oh yeah, we know, but just go along with it. No, I don't. What? Why should I go along with this when you're what the hell? Did you do this? All right, what comes into question or something like that? Right? I don't know. But, oh no, you get somebody else to do that. You ain't finna tear up my resume. Right? Tear up my track record or something like that. Or somebody come in there and tweak where you could probably alter something, but oh well, I just improvise. I'll just improvise it, right? Just improvise. Just do some improvisation on the lines or something like that, right? Well, yeah, all of them could, right? Like, oh, okay, we so let's kind of slip this in here and be like, oh, it was a mistake. It was an accident. You gotta go with it, right? Or something like that, right? Right? It's just kind of like, oh boy, it's kind of like I don't understand what's going on with there. I don't know, bruh. I have no idea. You were supposed to be elevating everything, but you're not. Right? The motivation of legendary work returning didn't give you enough motivation to elevate into a new level. I don't know. You don't want a lot of illiteracy taking over. I'm telling you, you don't want a lot of illiteracy. You don't want that. And the whole thing, that's one of the things you're supposed to love about Dragon Ball. Right? right? It's easy. It's well, again, I just can't say this several times. It's supposed to be easy, but even that, right? It's not easy. If you go in and you look at something like One Piece, it's so much simpler. But to them, they feel like it's a lot more complex, which in ways it probably is. And dealing with their adventure and dealing with their character, personality traits, and how they treat one another and their growth, right? It might be. Do I believe? No, I actually do not. I actually think it's just everything that Toriyama already had established. And people just don't know it. Or they don't like it because there's a lot of things that's in there where they had to get censored, where if you go and you actually read it for what it is and things like that, they don't agree with it, right? It's they don't like that part. Right? So that's a derogatory thing, and that's a push come to serve as the person and taking on these well-beings and stuff like that, right? So the changing the tides of poles and dealing in Dragon Ball, I think is good. I think the story writing, story elements, and all the elements that they add into the narrative is good. I always thought it was good. And there are certain things in there where it's evolutionary when it comes to its choreography and Dragon Ball animation and stuff like that, where it actually was not the first to do that. It was just the first to go mainstream globally and wanted to be the destiny and legacy of anime manga, I guess the way I would say, because there's other things that I like that I'm into, and the main genre that I would like to be into, along with the lightheartedness and silliness and gag things of action, anime, and all that, where it completely got shunned out and shunned down, where they were not going to change things, where it could not be mainstream during that time. Right? So you have where Dragon Ball gets that identity of, where others in the dark, they're also legendary, but they also have that identity. They just wouldn't change the dark aspect and mature aspect about their entire demographic of the material that it was giving out, that was, they wanted to place out. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to word that without shitting or without shitting on things, right? I'm trying to think the best words, the best terms, the best vernacular and verbiage in order to get you to understand where I'm coming from with that. So again, that time period wasn't really the best to try to put a lot of stuff out, because of the whole ratings was taken a lot more serious, a whole lot more serious then, right? So not ratings as in like score ratings, I mean like rated G, rated PG, rated PG-13, the audience, the age range, and things like that. So that's kind of what I have to say on that, right? It doesn't change the fact that Dragon Ball is a freaking juggernaut when it comes to choreography and everything, right? Also, that reminded me, I actually did mean to talk about this, right? It's a lot of people that be into this stuff where they're not into Chinese fictional films anyway, and martial arts films and that, and they think it's too cheesy, they think it's too parody, too gaggy, it's too like they don't really like the unexplained, certain things that's unexplained or things like that, or very battle power level-y, right? The super fantasy fictional things, they don't really like that. They've never have. So it's really weird to me when they do get into anime and they have a whole lot of problems with the anime, but it's like you don't even like action in general. It's like, to me, you should stick to non-fictional criminal justice thrillers. That to me is where you should be at, because you're not going to really understand any of the things dealing with the fictional mythological creatures and mythological abilities and spiritual powers and everything like that, that mystical aspect and nature, you know, around. So it doesn't, it don't really register with me. They may like the idea, right? They may like the idea of it, right? In their mind, they may glorify and idealize a perfect one in their head, right? But it doesn't work when it comes out, because they end up realizing they don't really like martial arts film like that. Right? And a lot of times when they think it's unexplained, I shouldn't even say unexplained. A lot of times they think it's unexplained. It's actually not unexplained. They completely explain it to you in the film. You just don't like it. Right? Or you might not want to get into it, right? Into maybe learning certain things about why it's shot like this, or why it's all concolated like this. Right? So that just depends. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Right? It don't make any sense to me. Right? That's why I'd be like, there's anime for everybody and stuff like that. But it's like, again, where you like the non-fiction, the thrillers, and the detective stuff and all that, I think you should do the same thing with anime and manga, right? You should read those. You will get exactly what you like. Whereas when you go into the superhuman, superpowered, right, things like that, you're all confused because you don't understand. Or you be like, well, there's some people, I give them the benefit of the doubt, where they see on screen where they believe a previous character or a character at a certain point in time is stronger than this way later character, all because of how they executed this character in terms of the character way later. So I give those people a little bit of slack on that, right? Because they also might be way more casual rather than hardcore, right? So it's like, or if they are hardcore, they just catch on, right? They just slower, but still, it's like I cut them some slack, because you visually watching it, you completely understand that it can trick them, right? It can completely trick them, right? Or it completely cloud their vision of going forward. And they're like, are we getting weaker when we're supposed to be getting stronger? Right? I completely understand all of that in terms of the visual. So in terms of a visionary board, I'll always say this: I think that you should execute a later character better, right, than the previous character. A lot of the times, elements just get taken out. In terms of painting and coloring and the tone and the syncopation of everything that becomes one-to-one with the story, and drawing it out and writing it out and putting it all together, it's like you can tell where it all gets taken out and where it goes down, where it starts to decrease, right? So I don't ever want something like that to ever happen. Obviously, that's the reason why I said, for me personally speaking, not actually personally, I think this is really for everybody. I don't think any Dragon Ball loyalists or anything want anything like Resurrection F, or anything where you strip and have to take power away, right, in order to try to keep the story going forward, because you don't. the formula never messes up. It never can be inconsistent. Right? And you also don't lose anybody's interest. It never has. That's why Z is the best one. Right? Except, god dang it, except Resurrection F. God dang it. Except Resurrection F. That's why they want to throw it on Dragon Ball Super, but I ain't gonna allow that. But still, right? Except Resurrection F. It's all, again, except that. Right? Except that. So, god dang it, when you go into the manga, right? The 42 volumes, right? It completely works and stays legendary. Right? It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It stays legendary. Now you have your problems a little bit where people were getting confused in certain arcs on who was stronger than who because they're all in the same arc. That's different. That's different. It's because they all was in the same arc and certain things, right, where people was in there, well, they kind of messing me up. They fucking me up right here because one is just like that and one is just like that. I'm not finna straight up just say it, but still, right? Because the debate still be going on currently right now, and I'm still be humbling everybody in those debates. But still, that's different. It's in the same arc, and it's ongoing. That's the main thing about that, right? It's ongoing. So it's not later. It's later within, right, the story, and then those characters end up meeting, or those characters actually don't meet because of certain things that happen or whatever. But it's in the same time frame, if you know what I'm saying, right? This period of time is exactly still the same. The setting is still the same. It's not later. Right? It's not another arc. That's why you're always supposed to stay like that. Stay like that. That's why I said Universal Survival arc, you got away with one, but don't do that again. Or you have to take away his power. Like that, where especially when he perfected the Ultra Instinct. Right? So that's what I have to say about it, right? That's what I have to say on the stream mainly. That's what I have to mainly say about that. So those are my thoughts. The plot of RF is some shit. It's not immersive. It's not consistent. It's inconsistent. It's inconsistent and terrible, which is why it ended up being consistent. Oh my god, I hate even saying that. But anyway, right? That it's inconsistent to the story and the flow of Dragon Ball, but it became consistent in the story to going with Dragon Ball Super, where they had to keep going with that. Ew! It's just terrible. It's just terrible, right? When really, in reality, you could remove that, and it actually don't mess up nothing. That is the wrench in Z. That's the wrench in Z and Dragon Ball Super. That's the wrench in Z and Super. Like I said, Super have his own problems, but god dang, man. Ah, Jesus. The heebie-jeebies had to be going all through you when you're watching ROF. You want to motherfucking take the goddamn hammer and throw it at the screen and break it. God dang it. So, I'm gonna talk about God of War Law Fade. But it's not gonna be on this show for that. do another stream up. So I'm gonna close this one out and do another one.